that real talk when it comes to sports, covering the news, giving you the truth. Nothing but that real on hoops in the league. All things NFL, we don't miss a thing. Getting with the coverage, we loving it all day. Picking up the news, tell us wherever the ball lay. With the NFL, NBA, they box so. Sports news in the hands of a man with fair takes. Tell them, coach, statistics and realness that's being spoke. Either hit it for the win or they hitting the goal posts. Either way, we woke up to the news of the day. Any kid could call it, he like to talk it out with Ray. Fast breaks down the lane, they better move out the way, or they pullin' from perimeter. Curry bury the trade, yeah, they got it. Woo! Duval with the hottest, Chris and Dev like the master, and mix it up like it's Logic being modest. They been looking for that real, trying to get it feel. Sports podcast, they running back on the real. That's a steal, yeah. They never sick, but they ill. Real sports talk going, deliver, signed and sealed. We bring that real talk when it comes to sports, covering the news, giving you the truth. Nothing but that real on hoops in the league. All things NFL, we don't miss a thing.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Real Talk. That is Mondays and Thursdays, live on Facebook and YouTube. I know you're used to having me, my guys Dev, Chris Brown, not the singer, and Ray Bond, but I got a couple of guests that are filling in for me. One of my guys, I got to introduce him first. We go way back. Actually, we're gonna start the show with him. We go way back to the New York days, back to hooping on the blacktop. This guy, he really. He's one of those unsung guys in terms of New York ballers that doesn't get his just due. So I'm gonna give him a real quick introduction and then let him. We're gonna get going. So this is Alvin Young, junior college, Niagara leading scorer, led the country in scoring. Long-time pro overseas in Italy. Al, welcome to the show, man. Thanks so much for being on.
Man, thanks for having me. It's been such a long time. It's such a pleasure.
For sure, man. So just go back, man. Go back to before we start talking NBA. Just I gave a brief introduction, but talk a little bit about your story in terms of how you got introduced to the game, and then talk a little bit about your journey. I know we could talk for hours about that, but
yeah. Well, basically, Brooklyn kid from the projects, is you always gonna play basketball. Football wasn't really a thing at that time for us. It's just basketball was the main sport, and you always just play on a blacktop. But my mom's decided to send me to a Catholic high school because I guess she made her mistakes with my oldest brother. So she was like, "Nah, you ain't going to a public school."
Yeah.
So I tried out for the Catholic high school game, the team. I got cut all 4 years. But to their credit, they had an all-city backcourt, that played at West Virginia and Xavier. But, I was thinking in my head like, damn, at least I could be the 12th man on the bench or something like that. But, that was that time. That was the times the Gauchos of Riverside running the whole Catholic high school league. Sure. And, my mother had me playing drums in church. So she was, basketball was not the thing, in my household. So, I just continued to play. I got with a team in the streets. And, a college coach, it's crazy. A college coach saw me play. They invited me to an exposure game. I took advantage of the opportunity. Went to junior college, averaged 32 in junior college. My second year, we went to the tournament. I averaged 47. And then, everything took off from there. I went to Niagara because I really didn't know nothing really about the basketball business. Like I know now, I know nothing about the business of basketball. Only reason I went to Niagara because it was crazy. My second year JUCO coach used to be the assistant coach when Calvin Murphy was there. Mm-hmm. And he used to talk so much. Oh, have mercy about Calvin Murphy this, Calvin Murphy that. Calvin Murphy that. So I said, you know what? I trusted him like he was my uncle. I'm going to go there. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, yo, listen, I'm going to break all his records. But, in reality, wow. that's kind of crazy because Calvin Murphy is top 50 NBA player. He was amazing. But, I went there. My first year there, played well, was second team all conference. And then the last year there was basically a big time year for me because that was the year right before the season started. That was the year my mother passed. And I think I was just at a crossroads in life. Like, all right, do I want to do this or go back to the projects and just be a knucklehead?
Wow.
And I never forget my brother kind of talked me into going back to school. And the rest was history. And that was the best year of my life. I led the nation in scoring, was the player of the year. And, I got invited to all these NBA camps and stuff like that. And this started my career, my pro career. And I was pro for 16, 17 years. Just finishing up now, not too long ago.
Yeah. So you were over there for a long time. And I can remember you coming. And what's crazy is you were a pro and you were still coming home in the summertime playing street ball. We was playing tournaments together.
Yeah. And I like, you know what? I like the hood tournaments. The less bougie it was, the more I loved it. I love
it. Yeah. So tell the audience how you got the nickname 1,000 Moves.
You know what? It's crazy. I think I got that from my team, my street team, X-Men, Brooklyn X-Men. We had like a street team, and all of us had a nickname. And you know what? I think it just came about because I was so much smaller than everybody else. And when I was younger, playing with your cousins and them, they used to, specialize in, who could block my shot across the fence. You know what I mean? So you just start figuring out ways, I was just, honestly, it wasn't even something I planned. It was just like, all right, I have to get the ball up on the rim somehow. So I just tried to figure out crafty ways of getting it there. And I guess, that's when they came up with 1,000 moves, because I was just thinking in my head, I'm going to get to the rim somehow, and I got to get this ball up on this rim. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but, hey, we're just going to improvise every time. And that's where the 1,000 moves came from.
Yeah, and that's just the creativity of the game and the imagination of learning what works for you and what doesn't work for you. What I loved about playing with you, man, was you didn't have to have the ball to score. Like it didn't take you a lot. You got right to it. 1 or 2 dribbles, you was at the rack. So I knew if I was on the break and you was on the wing, all I had to do is give it to you right there, right, foul line extended, and it was a bucket.
You know what that is? That's years for playing with chuckers on a basketball court who love to dribble. So, it was like, all right, how do I find a way to score, first of all? Second of all, you know how it was in the park. You always wanted to stay on the court because once you lost, you never get back on until another hour or two later. So it's like, all right, how do I get these guys to want to play with me, and how do I stay on the court? Oh, fine. Rebound and run the floor. The less dribbles, the better, because now I can let you shine, and you just pass it to me. You look like Jason Kidd, and I can score the basket. This works.
100%. So look, man, talk about, we was talking earlier on the phone, but tell everybody what you're doing now with Overtime Elite.
All right. Well, the opportunity came about. I have a close friend of mine. He's coaching the OSL Jelly Fam team for Overtime Elite, and he kept trying to bring me into the boys basketball. And at first, I was like, I really don't have the time. I'm a little burnt out. But this year, for some reason, I was like, you know what, just give it a try. So I started being the assistant coach there with him. And honestly, coaching is just such a different animal. Even though I was older than him, I get a chance to really sit back and watch and learn and see how he motivates his kids. And, the Overtime Elite League, man, when you go down to Atlanta, like it's a different animal. Absolutely. I mean, a lot of times people was trying to discredit the league, like I was telling you earlier, but it was hard to discredit the league, especially last year when you have the Thompson twins. Then you have players like Rob Dillingham coming out, playing well. Right. And now this year, we had maybe like 8 McDonald All-American nominees, and maybe like 4 of them made it. So, I mean, these guys, the physicality, the level of physicality, and, they are NBA ready. Them guys are really NBA ready. As you can see, the Thompson twins, they're able to come into an NBA environment and still be able to not be the greatest or shine, but they can compete and be there. And that Overtime League, I credited that for that because, boy, they definitely get you ready. It's a different level of physicality. And it's almost like I always tell it, it's a pro high school league, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's a pro high school league.
Yeah, Overtime Elite kind of got his model from the G League and Tim McKnight.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to Uncle Rod. They kind of gave the blueprint in terms of giving these young guys an opportunity to be in a pro environment and play at a pro level. So I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think that we're going to have more versions of this particular model of basketball because these kids are monetizing. We talked about this, on the phone with NIL. Like this is just another version of NIL that's going down to trickling down to the high school level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what? I really had the pleasure this year of coaching one of the McDonald's All-Americans, Ian Jackson. He's from the Bronx. He's going to University of North Carolina next year. And just to watch him, oh man, it was honestly, it was a pleasure. It was great to see a young kid with an old soul who really appreciated the game. Him and Elijah Moore, Chopper, who's going to Syracuse, and the other backcourt point guard is going to Mississippi State, Delquan. And it was great. Honestly, it was really a pleasure. I think I learned more from them than they probably learned from me this year. It was a pleasure coaching them.
Oh man, absolutely. And that's also something that you could put on your resume. If you decide you want to transition to head coaching, like you got these guys on your resume, and that'll could lead to possible head coaching opportunities. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I will always thank them because, like I said, to see guys that work so hard and be so humble and just be, they really want it. How we was talking earlier. I had to get out the mindset of telling these kids, you got to want it. It's nothing else out there. You got to do it. And the reality is they do have other choices.
For sure.
We didn't have them other choices. So either this or me in the streets. But for them, it's something totally different. So, the motivation is totally different. And I definitely respect they drive.
Yeah. And I think the most important thing is that we learn there's more than one way or more than one method to be able to motivate kids. And it challenges you as a coach to figure out a different angle or a different approach to be able to get these kids to buy in. Like, to me, that's you proving yourself as a coach.
Yeah. And I definitely agree. And for me, just as a person, I feel like I want to learn something new every day. And I don't mind humbling myself just to sit back because I want to learn. I just think if you feel like you know it all, then what's your purpose on earth? I mean, what are we doing here? So I have no problem. Like I said, I used to sit there and I learned back from my friend. I just watched how he motivate and his tactics and stuff like that because obviously he added me to his team so I could give him something. But, a lot of times I was just absorbing what the kids and what he was giving me.
Yeah, I think that's part of the learning how to, because, there's a transition from being a player to being a coach. You have to have, you got to look at it from a different lens. And then you have to think, and you got to be able to communicate to get them to do on the court. But you can't, because you can't shoot for them. You can't pass for them. You can't dribble for them, right? So you got to communicate, with your mouth what you want them to do on the court. To me, that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. It's so hard because some of the things that come natural for you because it's you,
right,
it's not going to come natural for them. And I think that's why a lot of good players struggle because we just think that's the norm. But I told them it's not the norm to be at a pro level. Otherwise, everybody would be there. It'll be easy for everybody to obtain it. So, your mindset and the way you go about it is totally different. And I always tell the kids, your ability gets you in the gym. Your mentality keeps you there. The mentality is going to give you the longevity.
That's really good. You got to say that one more time. That's really good.
Yeah. Your ability gets you in the gym. Your mentality is going to determine how good you're going to be and how long you're going to be in the gym.
Most definitely. Hey, I'm still in that one, using that with my kids. No question about it, because it's mental. And, we talked about this, when we were talking earlier, is that, how mental the game is. And then the way kids are built and their mental fortitude and toughness, it's like totally different. So that mentality is everything. So let me ask you this, and then I'll get you out of here. We talked about your career and you talked about, going from Niagara to playing overseas. What up, Jay? Yeah, we bringing them out, man. You know how we do it. Hey, so talk about the transition. You talked about the strength in terms of the guys for Overtime Elite. And then talk about the transition for yourself going from, Division I basketball in Niagara, kind of a mid-major, and then going to play on a pro level in Italy.
Man, let me tell you something. Honestly, not being coached in high school, And every year I played college basketball, I had a different coach.
Wow.
So I had 4 different perspectives my 4 years of playing basketball. And you think you're learning, then when you get over there, it's a whole new game. Especially when you're at the high level. You know what I mean? I was the only rookie in the league at that time where they only took NBA guys or guys who won in Europe. Europe won championships. So I was the young guy there at that time. And it's tough because first I didn't really have the fundamentals. Like I was just playing a lot on ability.
Sure.
And the thing, I always tell people, the thing that makes you strong also makes you weak. Because my stubbornness and believing in myself got me to the level, but also it kind of hurt me a little bit with coaches because when they tell you to do something different and you don't believe it, it's like, no. You're going against me. You're trying to sabotage my career. You don't want me to shine. So, you're right in that moment of trying to figure out what is the right way of going about it. And I'm really thankful that, especially when I went to Italy, I had a coach that was very patient with me because now when I look at some of my old tapes or I think about it, I said, Lord Jesus, I was a mess, bro. You know what I was? I was the player that I scream at now when I'm coaching. Oh, Lord. But the only thing that got me over was I did score. No matter what, I did score a lot. But I'm thinking in my head like, Lord have mercy, I was a hot mess. Now, when I think about it, when you look at it as a grown-up and you see some old video, I'm like, Jesus. All that time when they say he was open, he really was open. He really was open.
That's hilarious.
And it's so crazy when you think about it now, but it's such a blessing to see and to see what you have grown to be. And now with your coaching, it's like, hold up. Now, so when I see a player, I have to reel myself back and say, hold up, Al, you was that guy. You got to be able to reach him and you have to be patient and just let him see it in a different way. Because he's thinking he's doing the right thing. He really thinks he's doing the right thing. So you can't kill him for that. Right. So you just got to, push him in another direction.
Yeah. And here's the other thing I learned with that too, is that's where the importance of film or video. Like these kids don't even know what film is. I got to say video because they look at me like I'm crazy when I say film. Right. But you have to show them on film because when they're playing, they don't see it.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to go back. And that's why, with my guys, we make a point of, and then even with the film, you got to mix it up. So you got to give them like 3 good plays and 3 bad plays. Because otherwise, if you just give them all bad plays, they shut down.
You'll lose them immediately.
Yeah. They don't even they don't care what you're showing them for the rest of the film session. You lost them mentally to your point, and then you're not even getting anything out of the film session.
Mm-hmm. Because then they start thinking you're against them.
Right.
And, you're not for them. And, you just want to see them fail. It's like, no, bro. Yes. I don't want to see you fail. I'm just trying to point out some things. But like you said, but with anything, we have to realize as coaches, with anything, you accept discipline from your parents because they show you love and then they discipline you. So it's the same thing in coaching. You have to show the love, then you can discipline. But if you just discipline all the time without the love part of it, you're going to lose.
For sure. So listen, man, we're about to talk some NFL. You're welcome to stay if you want to, but if not, man, I appreciate your time. So listen, man, I will be home. Me and the wife will be home for the holiday, for Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. So we got to link up.
Definitely, man. Listen, don't say that because now I'll be looking for you.
Oh no, I'm telling you. I'm giving you my word. We're gonna be home for the Mother's Day holiday because we haven't been home for Mother's Day, and my wife's from Newark.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we come home, it's it's both of our families. So, but yeah, I haven't been home for Mother's Day. I can't even remember the last time. So we're making it a point to be home for Mother's Day. So we'll definitely link up.
All right, then. It was nice talking to you, and I appreciate you.
Likewise, my guy. Take care.
All right, take care.
All right, peace. Yeah, that was Alvin Young. Like I said, NCAA leading scorer, played in Europe, played in Italy for 16, 17 years. Now he's doing his thing with Overtime Elite, one of the premier high school leagues. So now let's get my guy, Tone, in here, a fellow frustrated Cowboys fan. so we can start talking some NFL. What's up, Tone?
I got some bad news for you, Kenny. I had to renounce my fandom as a
No,
Cowboys fan.
wait a minute.
I
See, I
had to
had
do
some
it, bro.
topics, but we got to start there.
I had to
Come
do
on,
it,
talk to
bro.
me.
You want to honestly know why? I said for a week before the Cowboys faced the Packers, I said, man, if they lose to Jordan Love of all quarterbacks, I was like, I can't rock with them no more. Not only did they lose, they got the brakes beat off of them for all 4 quarters. And it is not that I don't like Jordan Love. I really don't mind the dude. It's the Packers fans that want to sit here and tell me after one good season, this man is the next GOAT. He's the next Brett Favre. He's the next Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, okay. All the Giants fans are saying the same thing about Daniel Jones. And then here we are with free agency and all the free agency moves. And I guarantee Giants fans are saying, Daniel Jones is not that guy.
Yeah, so that actually leads me to, since you're talking Giants, that actually is a great segue to the first topic. I saw this on social media. Shout out to my boy Mike Hudson. He put this in the group text to some of my boys from back home. And let's start with that. So I don't know if you saw this, but here's the quote. Did you see this?
I did. I saw it. I saw it just a little bit ago before I hopped on.
Yeah, so give me your reaction to it and then tell me whose side are you on?
Honestly, I'm gonna be on Saquon's, because for Tiki, and this is what I kind of noticed with Tiki for a while, even as he was an analyst, it seemed like he had something a little bit against Saquon, as if Saquon wasn't doing enough for the team and whatnot. I think what Tiki forgets is Tiki was a part of those Giants teams that they had probably one of the better O lines that they've had for an extremely long time. You had Coach Coughlin, coaching your team from the middle of the 2000s all the way until what was that, about 2013, I think was his last year, 2014-ish or so. So Tiki has some pretty good Giants teams for him and a lot of really good offensive lines and good defenses. Saquon hasn't had that luxury. Saquon had Eli Manning towards the end of his career. He got Daniel Jones as his next quarterback, a plethora of rotating quarterbacks thrown in there on top of it. And the Giants' offensive line has still been bad. It's been bad for over 10 years now. They have not been the same Giants that they were. And if you look at last year, when the Giants were in the same position that they were just a few hours ago of, well, do we pay Saquon or do we pay Daniel Jones? They went with Daniel Jones. They gave Saquon the free 8. Well, they signed him to a 1-year deal to let him earn a little bit more money. But obviously they said, we don't believe that the offense goes through you. We believe that it goes through Daniel Jones more. So I'm on Saquon's side that this isn't nothing that Saquon could do. If I'm him, I'm a better player than this. I'm the number 2 overall pick. I was supposed to be the best running back in my class for a reason. Why stay with an organization that is really not giving not only your quarterback, but not giving your running back pieces to be successful and succeed? Go to Philadelphia. You're going to make more money. You got a better offensive line, a better culture. Like I don't blame him. I'm on Team Saquon.
Yeah, I think you make a great point in terms of the situations and the culture. And the biggest point that you made in terms of the offensive line, I think that's the biggest reason why he left and went to Philadelphia, because, the Philadelphia line was its strength. That tush push was unstoppable.
Yep.
And, that was, that for him, he's basically been he's been like the Barry Sanders of his generation, in that he hadn't had the surrounding cast. He always had a suspect O-line. So he had to make miracles every time he touched the ball. You know what I'm saying?
You want to know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me, because he's about the same age and whatnot, it reminds me of what happened with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you look at with him with the Panthers, he was solid, but
for sure.
He kept having to get hurt because he's doing the same thing as Saquon's doing. He's the only true weapon that they had on the team. He's got no O-line, and like you said, he's got to try to make magic happen. That's how he ends up getting hurt. That's how he gets banged up, and he's not as productive, and he's not on the field because he's having to do everything for them.
Yeah, I think it's honestly going to be better situation for him. And I think we'll see the rookie version of Saquon Barkley because he won't have to carry as much of a load.
Mm-hmm.
And then that running game, that RPO with him and Jalen Hurts is going to be something serious.
Yeah. And I think too, he's got probably the best quarterback that he's going to be able to play with in the NFL at his current part of his career. He's got 2 offensive wide receiver studs on either side of the ball that can block for him, and he's got a solid tight end in Dallas Goedert. He hasn't had any of that while he was in New York. The best wide receiver he's gotten to play with was OBJ, and that was right before OBJ got traded to Cleveland.
Right. They barely had any time together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might have been his rookie year, and that was the year where he went off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I think you're better when you have a great supporting cast around you, because we saw that, to your point, with McCaffrey when he got to San Francisco. Like, he just was freed up, and you saw how productive that he was because he wasn't getting keyed on by defenses. It makes a difference.
Yeah.
So let's, we talked about the Giants in terms of what they done. Let's get into the rest of NFL free agency. In terms of the signings, we had a lot of signings happen today. We had a bunch of big names that are moving and changing scenery and things of that nature. So tell me which move you like the most, and then which move you like the least.
Can I give a real quick shout out to the greatest businessman I have ever seen in NFL history?
Jerry Jones.
No, not Jerry Jones. Whether it's his agent or it's him, Kirk Cousins has got to be the greatest businessman in the NFL.
That man best. The GOAT.
He got a 4-year, $180 million contract with the Falcons, with $100 million guaranteed. He's getting $90 million this year, and he gets $10 million next year. Greatest businessman ever.
The greatest.
Like y'all, like, I don't care if you like Kirk or not.
Hands down.
Like, people can't deny that. I do like that, though, for the Falcons, even though I'm going to say this. I have a love-hate with it. I like it because now that immediately puts them as having the best quarterback in the division. No offense to Baker Mayfield, but you get Kirk Cousins now, albeit you're not going to get him until probably about close to middle of the season, but it gives Kyle Pitts finally a reliable quarterback to throw to him. Drake London, you've got Bijan Robinson. So 3 of their top draft picks that they've used. They've got a great O-line. Defense they need a little bit of help on, but other than that, I think it's a great move for the Falcons. I think it puts them in the position, okay, they can finally at least be in competition for the playoffs, and be a truly viable team coming out of the NFC South. Because last year, as we saw, it was just whoever can get to the finish line basically wins, because that was a bad division last year.
Oh, yeah. But I think what you said is really, I think that the Falcons, while Kirk Cousins is not an elite quarterback, he is a solid quarterback and a veteran quarterback. And you got those young pieces there in terms of Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts and, Drake London. So having a veteran quarterback, an experienced quarterback with those young guys, it could be a good combination. My only concern is that whenever you have expectations for Kirk Cousins, he lets you down.
Yep.
So, and we know how hungry the Falcons fan base is for a championship ever since they lost that one to Tom Brady and the Patriots. So, my only concern would be, if I was a Falcons fan, is am I getting myself set up? Yeah, we know, as an ex-Cowboys fan, how you get your hopes up and then the team just lets you down. So that would be my only concern if I'm an Atlanta fan.
Here's my real question, though. Now it makes me wonder, what do the Falcons do as far as the draft goes? Because do you go try and get Kirk another weapon? Do you try to shore up the O-line? Are you trying to get somebody on defense? Or are you still trying to go for a quarterback of the future to sit behind Kirk and say, okay, we got at least 4 years with Kirk. You can sit back, kind of learn. There's no pressure. We'll have potentially more guys in here. that's kind of my big question for them is what do they do now draft wise? Because I almost had them for sure either trading up or potentially getting a quarterback like a Bo Nix, like a Michael Penix, or even a JJ McCarthy, kind of about middle of the first round.
Yeah, that's an interesting dilemma that they have. I think if there's a choice that you had to make, if you had to make a choice, I believe you have to go offensive lineman because Cousins he's already immobile as a quarterback and he's coming off an Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
So those two combinations leads to basically a statue or sitting target. So you need to have a solid, if not a solid, you need to have a good to an exceptional offensive offensive line that's going to give him time to be able to operate in that pocket.
Yeah.
Now, so that's the one you like. So tell me, well, I'll tell you the one that I like the most.
Okay.
I think the one that I like the most is, and I'm gonna show Ray some love. Ray, shout out to Ray Bond. Is I like the Commanders move. I like the Commanders move of bringing Eckler because you got yourself a number one running back, and that's no disrespect to Robinson, who had a really solid rookie year. Out of Alabama. But you have a proven commodity in terms of Eckler being the number one. You put him with Scary Terry. Now the jury's still out on whether or not they have a quarterback, but you got the second pick so that you can get yourself a franchise quarterback. So if you do that and you get it right, you have a big three to really be able to compete in what has been, let's be honest, the NFC East. Everybody takes turns winning the division. Like there hasn't been a repeat winner of that division in I don't know how many years.
Since 2004 has been 20 years.
I didn't even realize it had been that long. So that's 20 years. So, you make the right moves, you can definitely, turn this thing around. So that's the one that I like the most.
I agree with you. I do like it because it gives them a really good option for not only a good running back, but a good pass catcher out of the backfield. And I do agree. I do wonder what they're going to do with the second overall pick. Me being biased, I say they should go for Jaden Daniels if they want to get the best quarterback out of the draft. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest Caleb Williams fan. Obviously, he's also going to be gone off the board. I like Jaden Daniels just because of the dual, mobility. He's a great pocket passer, but I don't want to see my LSU Tiger and his career die in Washington, unfortunately, because we all know that's probably going to happen. Just being honest with you. But I think that I could also see them going for Drake May, which I'm going to be honest, and maybe a little bit better than I do, but I do not see the hype in Drake May. Like I looked at some of the stats. I've looked back at some of the wins, some of the not wins. He's only competed for the ACC championship once against Clemson, and he lost. Other than that, I mean, he's kept them above middle of the pack. But I'm like, I personally just don't see it as an NFL prospect, me personally. But hey, I could be wrong. We've seen guys be great in college and then absolutely flop in the NFL. But if I had to pick my least favorite signing, it's going to be kind of weird. And I don't know how you feel about it, but it's actually going to be down in your area of Florida. Not an overly huge fan of Darnell Savage getting signed by the Jaguars. And that's mainly just being that Green Bay secondary has not lived up to potential, I would say, at least the last 2 or 3 seasons. Jair Alexander has been hurt. Darnell Savage hasn't really lived up to expectations. Now, I know he had the pick 6 against Dak Prescott in the playoffs, but let's be realistic. It's not hard to get a pick 6 on Dak, especially in the playoffs. That's almost, you get at least one guarantee. You can't guarantee who going to get it, but you get one guarantee.
Hey, I'm with you when you're right.
But that's the only one I'm like, that to me doesn't really boost your secondary. They also signed Ronald Darby, which again, not terrible, but I feel like they're just signing guys that it's kind of, guys that are coming off the street. Like there are better options still available and they're just kind of taking like option C. So like, hey, but y'all aren't really building like a good secondary to help Trevor Lawrence. And now their backup quarterback, Mac Jones, which supposedly, according to Kevin Wildes, is a quarterback controversy. Even though it's funny, you look at the stats, they're damn near the same NFL quarterback. Like that's the bad part. They're the bad. They're dang near the same NFL quarterback.
The only controversy will be is because Mac Jones is from Jacksonville.
Yep.
So, and local product, went to the Bowl School, which is one of the prestigious private schools here in the city. So I think honestly that they did this to light a fire under Trevor Lawrence. Because basically now you're saying that, look, you didn't have any threats to anybody, any threats to your job since you've been drafted at the number 1 position. Excuse me, you're coming off of a disappointing season where it looked like you kind of took a step back and the team floundered going, down the stretch. And a lot of people point, everybody's going to always point to the quarterback when things go wrong. So I think they did this to light a fire under him. And that the backup quarterback is the most popular guy on the team. So the minute that Trevor starts struggling in the least bit, you're going to hear those chants. Because when I tell you football is a religion in Florida and in Jacksonville in particular, I know for a fact that so he's going to have to step his game up and he's going to have to show up in a big way. And they're going to need to get off to a quick start because if he starts struggling, the Boo Birds are going to come and the chances are going to come. I can guarantee it.
And I feel like it's really not fair to Trevor because this is no shot at Ray Cruz, who I know is a big Jags fan.
Absolutely, shout out to Ray,
and is down there with you in Jacksonville. He hasn't really been set up for success. He got Urban Meyer his rookie year, so everybody's kind of scratched that off. He gets Doug Peterson his next year. We see kind of what we were expecting from Trevor Lawrence. Here's the other thing, though. Trevor really hasn't had any decent weapons. I mean, they overpaid for who was it? Zay Jones. They had Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley was fairly decent.
I don't think he'll be back.
But he's coming off of a year worth of rust because he was suspended.
Right.
They did get Devin Duvernay, and they also got another wide receiver pickup.
Ingram was good for them.
Yeah, Ingram's good. I think he's still there. Oh, they signed Gabe Davis. So they're not making bad moves, but again, it's like I said, it's kind of one of those. They're like, I'm gonna go for option C. Like, come on, like if you get the B option, I get that too, but quit picking C, man. Quit going right in the middle. Yeah. Be a little bit of aggressive. Like, get something for Trevor to work with. Like the AFC South, with really the exception of, to me, Houston coming in as the favorites next year, just because of how well CJ Stroud did, because of how well D'Amico Ryans did as a head coach. That division's wide open. We don't know what Tennessee is going to look like. Indianapolis, we think, is going to be pretty decent just because of their defense. Anthony Richardson's going to come back next year. Obviously, Minshew is now a Vegas Raider, so you don't have to worry about Minshew mania anymore.
Yeah.
So it's wide open to potentially take as far as winning your own division. It's not completely out of reach.
Yeah. It's not, but I think the other factor that you may not be considering is, and I know this because I hear it, here on local radio, is that they have a stadium. They have renovations of the stadium, and they're trying to decide, how they're going to do it, where they're going to go. So that's going to be a significant investment. And so I think that's kind of it is having an impact on what they're doing in free agency, because I believe that Shad Khan in the back of his mind has listen, I know I'm going to have to put out some money for these renovations to get, to keep this team here in the city. And I got to make sure that I keep enough to be able to do that and, keep this team afloat. So then the other thing is that when is the last time that the Jaguar, Jimmy Smith, this is the last time they had a number one type
Yeah.
of receiver. Like that's the inaugural team. So it's this has been something that's for years that has been an area of struggle, and it's crazy that it hasn't happened because I've lived here since 2012, and it's a great city.
Mhm.
You got the stadium, which is right downtown. Um, and they're building around it. They're building up downtown. So there's a lot going on. And like I said, this is football is literally a religion in the state of Florida. So the fact that they haven't been able to put together consistent winning, it's been baffling to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Kenny, who's your least favorite free agency signing so far, though?
So I'm gonna go a little different in terms of it isn't a signing. I'm going my least favorite is the Cincinnati Bengals basically not taking care of T. Higgins, and now it looks like they're going to lose him. So that's my least favorite. And shout out to one of my boys, Charles Harbin. He lives here and he's a diehard Bengals fan, and I always mess with him and give him grief because they always find a way to mess things up.
Yep.
So that's my least favorite. And it actually leads me to my next topic, or our next, what I want to talk to you about. So now that T. Higgins has, they franchised him and he's placed this trade demand, who do you think should be some of the teams that should be lining up to make an offer to the Bengals for T. Higgins?
All honesty, if I'm this team, and I'm surprisingly enough, I'm going to go with my hometown team of technically where I'm from, of Indianapolis. Indianapolis needs to go get him, and I say that because Higgins to me is a true number one. Like he was able to be the number one before Jamar Chase got there, and he did perfectly fine. Whereas on the other hand, with Pittman, while statistically Pittman has put up 2,000-yard seasons in the 4 years that he's been there, he hasn't really lived up to me of being a first, a number one, wide receiver mark. Whereas if you put him with T. Higgins, now you can kind of have that. You can have that separation. Pittman's not just getting double teamed the entire time. It takes away a little bit with T. Higgins. He stays pretty close as far as Cincinnati goes. Indiana's also still a fairly cheap option, and they've got pretty good amount of cap space. And where they're at as far as drafting goes, I mean, Indianapolis could still also get another wide receiver. There's a lot that Indianapolis can still add and grow to. I to me think out of the people who are probably going to be in the market for trading for him, have the draft capital to be able to do it. I think that to me is the best scenario, with the exception of, you can go to Washington and make a lot of money. Don't know if you're going to win or not. Even as much as I love the Bears, go to Chicago. Really don't know how that's going to pan out either. Same if you go to New England, you can get a lot of money there. But again, what's their quarterback situation going to be like? Right. So to me, Indianapolis is probably the most stable, realistic spot he could go to, where to me, I think he's going to stay successful.
Yeah, I didn't think about that one, but that's an interesting one. The only thing is if he wants to be a number one, they just gave Pittman that big contract, so I'm not sure if they can afford two, number one salary type guys. So that would be the only challenge with that one. The one that I thought of while you were talking is, and this is again another situation where he wouldn't be a number one. Seattle, I think, would be an interesting. You put him with DK Metcalf and with Geno Smith, like that could be a really deadly combination. But I think if he wants to be a number one receiver, I think he goes to the Giants.
Oh, okay.
Because they're starving for a number one receiver.
Yes, they are.
I thought that they were going to get it with dude from the Lions. His name just escaped me.
Oh, Kenny Galladay?
Yeah, Galladay. They thought he was going to be it, and that flamed out in a major way.
I was going to joke with you. Hey, man, they had a number one in Kenny Galladay. We saw a man. We saw a live theft on national TV every single game.
Man, yeah,
the amount of money they paid.
Yeah, he stole a lot of money. So that would be one place I think he could go. where he could be a number one receiver. I think another place that he could potentially go and be a number one receiver is New Orleans, because I think the days of Michael Thomas, unfortunately, being a number one just due to health, I'm just not sure if you can. I shouldn't say I'm not sure. You can't count on Michael Thomas to be a number one receiver right now, because I think these injuries is just taking too much out of him. So I think that could be a place where he can be a number one guy. And here's another one that just popped into my head. And to me, if this happens, this could be scary. If he goes to Houston,
ooh, yeah,
with CJ Stroud, oh my goodness, with those young guys that they got there, like that could be really special.
The only two I would probably push back on, I don't think Seattle, only because not only do you have DK, you still got Tyler Lockett, who, while Tyler's not who he used to be.
Yeah, true.
And they drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba out of Ohio State last year.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So they got a pretty stacked room. I mean, if he goes there, woof, yeah, Seattle would be dangerous offensively. And New Orleans,
I forgot about Jackson. Yeah.
New Orleans, I do agree, because I did see a report that they're potentially going to cut Michael Thomas. They've still got Chris Olave, but I mean, that'd be a solid 1-2 punch for Derek Carr, as far as like Chris Olave and
relatively young too.
T. Higgins. Yeah, very young team. But I do like Houston though. You think, pair him up with what's the kid's name? Tank Dell. You pair him up, CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, T. Higgins, and Nico Collins. That would be a very young, very dangerous Houston team.
And our guy Dalton Schultz at tight end. Like they could be really a really dangerous offense. And we're talking about the AFC South. That division is there for the taking, and Houston kind of snuck up and stole that one last year. You put him with those guys, they could run the division for years to come.
Very easily. Now, I don't know if you happen to saw. Did you see that Dalton Schultz took a little bit of a shot at the Cowboys?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We had that in our topics for last week and just didn't get to it. But we're gonna get into it tonight. We're gonna double up with that. So the first part is that Jerry Jones told the people, as usual, sold us a dream that we're all in for free agency, to win a Super Bowl, rather. Let me not misquote him. All in to win a Super Bowl. And here it is, the first day of free agency, and the Cowboys have done nothing. So first, talk about, are you surprised?
No. No, because I've said this before for many, many years. If there's anybody who can sell a snowball to somebody who lives in Alaska, it is Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones could sell snowball in Alaska. He can sell fire in hell. For whatever reason, that man can sell anything he puts his mind to. And it's funny that you bring that up and you say that, because, obviously, Jerry, we're all in, I'm doing everything I can to build a Super Bowl team. Well, your salary cap situation says different, because they're only like $2 million over the salary cap at the moment. You've lost your starting center and a rotating, very good defensive end, both to the Commanders, to Dan Quinn, in Tyler Biotish and Dorrance Armstrong today. The thing, though, that does kind of make me wonder with Jerry.
Forget about Tony Pollard
the Titans. The thing that makes me wonder, though, and somebody actually kind of broke it down into this thought, is if he's truly all in, supposedly for this year, what does he do with Dak? Now, obviously, there's been a lot of reports out there, and I've seen them kind of die down, that Dak is going to potentially get paid upwards of $60 million. And then that's all of a sudden kind of come real quiet here, I would say about the last week or week and a half or so. There was a thought kind of put out there that what if Jerry Jones doesn't do it? He just eats the cap hit, kind of like the Broncos are doing with Russell Wilson this year. Just eat the cap hit, because look, Dak, this is kind of, again, your prove it year. Prove to me you can get to the NFC Championship at minimum or farther. Prove to me that you're worth the money and that you can take the next step. Because honestly, I think Jerry's to the point, Jerry's getting tired of it. Now, albeit everything's Jerry's fault, because if you would let your coaches coach, if you would put that door there that says, look, if you players really have a problem with the coach, if he's doing something illegal, if he's doing something just absolutely wrong, then by all means come knock on the door. Otherwise, you need to go to your coaches, you need to talk to them. If you still want to talk to the media about everything, go do it, Jerry. It's your toy, that's your thing that you want to do. Let your coaches coach. Stop messing with everything. Stop sticking your hands where they don't belong. If you want to be the head coach, just name yourself the head coach. Just do it. You already the vice president, you already the president, the GM, and the owner. Just be head coach too.
Yeah, I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again. We will never win another Super Bowl until Jerry Jones retires.
Yes.
Until he steps aside, turns it over to Stephen Jones, and gets out of the way, we're not going to win a Super Bowl. So I understand why you jump ship. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, because it's just the same thing over and over again. Like he tells us, to your point, he sells you a dream, and then when it comes time to put up or shut up, he doesn't do anything. Like for this past season, I said this last week, we had a glaring need at linebacker. Yep. There was a top free agent linebacker available. Did he spend the money? No. Nope. And what happened in the playoffs? We got bullied. Our linebackers were getting thrown out of the club. They were getting manhandled in the run game, and that's why we lost. It's always a missing piece, and the missing piece is always when it comes to personnel. Who makes the final decision on personnel? Jerry Jones.
Here's two things I want to add to that too that aggravated me last year. The lack of discipline. And the lack of discipline that has been an issue ever since Mike McCarthy has been there. What has the Dallas Cowboys been? They've been like one of, if not the most penalized team. And it's not even them all, they just hate the Cowboys. No, you go back and you look. Nope, that's a hold. That's a hold. That's a hold. Like all of them. I'm like, and it's not getting fixed. It's the same with Dan Quinn on the defense. It's the same with Mike on the offense. The whole team is just absolutely undisciplined. And the thing that honestly made me jump ship the most is the fact that they lost to the Packers, because that's the other bad part. Jerry not only sells you on a dream, but then when you look on the field, you look at stats and you watch the players play in the performance, I would say about 50% of the time, if not more, the Cowboys have a significantly better roster than the teams that they're facing. It's only a handful of times. Like if you look at San Francisco, you can give the edge to San Francisco. You could maybe even give the edge to Philly a few times, or not. But it's like, he comes into Green Bay. It's a young team. You should have the better quarterback. They have the better running back. You can make the argument on O-line is 50-50. You should have the better wide receivers in Lamb, in Gallup, in Cooks. You should have the better tight end in Jake Ferguson, who I really liked. You should have a better defense. And you get absolutely crushed like nothing. Like that to me is really what kind of hurts. Is it's not just him selling the dream. It's the team is talented enough to do it. But again, like you said, they're not filling needs that they need to fill. Now, I don't know if you were talking about Darius Leonard, who I'm going to be honest, I wasn't upset that they didn't sign him, because when we saw him play for Philly, I don't know if it was just Philly's downfall as a whole, but.
Yeah, that was one. And there was somebody else that was out there too, that I wanted to see happen. But the point is that it's like the movie Friday, where they talk about, man, you always missing something. You got peanut butter but no jelly. You got Kool-Aid and no sugar. Like we're always missing that key ingredient that keeps us from getting over the top. And I'm in terms of Dak, I say you roll the dice, because I'm tired of him. He's another one. I'm tired of hearing these excuses when we come up short. Like it's enough is enough. Like you gotta advance past. You put all this pressure on McCarthy, which was another thing that had them all playing tight, because you got on the radio the week of the game, running your mouth and putting pressure on these guys, and they didn't perform. So, but with Dak, I believe that you have to do the same thing like you did. Let him Let him dangle. Let him be that lame duck. And you got everybody's a lame duck. For me, nobody's safe.
No.
McCarthy's in his last year. Dak's in his last year. You let it ride out, and if it don't work, you start from scratch. You get rid of Dak, you get rid of McCarthy, and you blow the whole thing up.
Yep.
And
now,
honestly, I don't think that Jerry's built for that. That's why he's saying that he's all in for this year, because he knows that if this doesn't work out, they're going to have to blow it up and start all over.
Here's the thing, too, that I think for Jerry, like, when of course, we've always said that, when we've always heard he's in every year for the Super Bowl, like that's his only ever goal and aspiration for them.
Please.
If you're Jerry, at what point do you say, you take a step back and you look at all the great players that Dallas has had over the years, ever since at least the 2000s, about 5-ish years after, the Super Bowl wins and whatnot. You had Jason Witten for his entire career, wasted. You had Des Bryant, basically his entire career, wasted. DeMarcus Ware didn't get a ring until he went to Denver. So his career wasn't necessarily wasted, but still an all-time great overall for Dallas and for that. You look at Zach Martin, a future Hall of Famer, wasted. Tyron Smith, injured, wasted. Travis Frederick, unfortunately, had to retire due to the Guillain-Barré syndrome. Career wasted. All of these great players that have come through in Dallas.
This goes on and on.
If you're Jerry Jones, at what point do you kind of sit back and say, maybe I'm the problem? Because, Dallas has had a number one offensive line for what? Like 4 years in the span of the 2010s there. One of the best offensive lines, best weapons. Like you can't do much more. And honestly, it's kind of a slight against him. I forgot all about Tony Romo, with the exception of him throwing interceptions at the end of the flipping game every damn time the game was on the line. But still, like that, like at what point, if you're Jerry, do you not sit back and say, I've had so much good talent. I've paid the absolute best for everybody, and it's not doing anything. What am I doing wrong? Like, now I do have to ask, since you're still the current Cowboys fan, I am formerly known as a Cowboys fan. Do you want Bill Belichick as your head coach? Because you know that connection's there. Jerry was flirting with it in the offseason.
Look, I posted during the playoff game, and you can go and look at my Facebook. I posted, Jerry, gas up the plane, go to Boston, and go get Belichick now. I've had enough of this guy. Because if there's one thing that we know about a Bill Belichick team, is when he has the talent, they're going to always be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Part of being a coach is preparing your team to be able to play. Mm-hmm. That team did not look in any way, shape, or form like they were prepared to play a playoff game at home. And to me, that is the biggest indictment as a coach. I'm a high school basketball coach. If my team is not prepared to play, I will not have my job.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it that on a higher level, this guy is making hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars more than I am?
Mm-hmm.
How is it that your handpicked guy, the last 2 years at home in the playoffs, has been thoroughly outclassed and embarrassed, and then you bring him back? Like, I understand why you were out, because I'm loyal, I think, almost to a fault. Because I'm still the idiot that's a Cowboys fan and still hanging in there, and we haven't won a championship since I was in high school.
They're saying,
I'm
Kenny, if you
about to be 51 years old in August. So it's like, I get it, man. I get it. Why? Because it's just the same thing over and over again.
You say, Kenny, if you want to feel old, I was one when they won their last Super Bowl. So if you want to feel the old,
yeah, I do. I do. But you're as young as you feel. I was out there yesterday at the gym at my school playing some 3-on-3, and now my body is paying for it. But I was out there moving around. So you're as young as you feel. Hey, but man, it's just annoying. It's just frustrating. Like, I'm planning a guy's trip out to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm just going to do the tour of the stadium because I don't want to go to the game and go home mad because that happened to me already. So, not last season, but the season before, they played the Jaguars here in Jacksonville.
They got embarrassed.
Dude, on a pick six in overtime. I was in the building. I literally saw what Stephen A says, what can go wrong will go wrong. I literally saw it with my own two eyes. And that was my first time ever going to a Cowboys game in person.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it was like a bucket list thing, and I had friends in town. So we went to the game together. My mother-in-law flew down from Jersey, who was a Cowboys fan. Shout out, Mom. And we had a ball, like we tailgated and the whole bit. So it was a great time. But they lost. So it's just like, I don't know if I want to subject myself to that frustration again.
I don't blame you at all. I really don't.
So look, man, as we get ready to get out of here, we reacted to, all of the free agency things and things of that nature. Let's talk some ASAP stuff. You got your handle up there. Tell the people that may be Real Talk fans but haven't checked out Inside the Who's Your Mind. Tell them what your show is about and when they can catch it.
Yeah, so I'm a dude from the Midwest here in Indianapolis. I cover primarily the NFL, college football, and college basketball. And I mean, tell you, Kenny, I am so excited for college football to come back this year. So excited for it. It's a lot like the NFL whenever you have the new changes, the new places. Nick Saban's gone. How is Alabama going to do? Is LSU going to do any good? Texas and Oklahoma coming in. So I dive deep into just about everything like that, especially like conference realignment and whatnot. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Inside the Hoosier Mind. You can find me on X at IN Hoosier Mind, and I usually stream on Mondays and or Wednesdays. And of course, you can catch me anywhere you find yourself on podcasts, Spotify, Apple, and on iHeartRadio, all the above.
Cool, man. So, if you're a sports fan, you're in the Midwest. And Tony, I'm going to tell you, since you're in the Midwest, make sure you check out my guy, Nate Carter. He's a running back for Michigan State. That's family. I went to college with his dad. Shout out to Daryl Carter's pops. We played basketball together in college. So that's his son. So I consider him my nephew.
Same.
So,
and I don't know if you see it. I got a Michigan State hat.
Awesome.
Right there. And another one right next to it. You can't see it, but I got two Spartans hat right there. I like my Michigan State. So
yeah, so he's looking to make some big noise. My only concern is that that running back position is getting devalued. So if he's able to get it to the next level, how much money? But you know what? It don't even matter. If he makes it to the NFL, that's all that matters.
Exactly. I think he can. I think running backs have started to learn that, you don't have to just be the ground and pound guy. You can be like Eckler. If you can be a good pass catcher, because really that's all you got to be is an extension of the pass game. Be essentially, while you're a running back, try to be a wide receiver. Get the speed, get the strength, have good hands as far as pass catching goes. You'll be just fine. But yeah, I follow him on Instagram, Nathan Carter, because he popped up as far as being one of the recruits that they signed. So, and of course, again, I always root for Spartans. I always root for Spartans when they go in the NFL. I liked Kenneth Walker. He was pretty much the only highlight of Michigan State for the last couple of years anyway. So.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so yeah, y'all make sure y'all tune in and check out Tony's content on ASAP. Check out all the rest of the shows on ASAP. Actually, you brought up Ray Cruz. We actually were talking via text today, and we're working on getting him to come in. We have an alumni game that's happening on March the 22nd, and we're trying to get him to come and have ASAP come and broadcast the game.
Nice.
So yeah, anybody, and this is a shameless plug, as being a head coach of a high school program, we always are fundraising and raising funds. So if you go to the Giving Zone and St. Joseph Academy, you see the Twitter handle and the the Instagram handle. Make sure you follow the team on both of those platforms. And then as well, if you would be so inclined to donate, it's it goes towards our summer activities. So we do team camps, we do summer league, and we're traveling this summer. We're going to Georgia. We're going down to West Palm Beach to play in some team camps. So to help those guys to be able to play, we got a varsity and a JV program. So anything that you could donate, we greatly appreciate it. And like I said, ASAP is planning to be in the building for our alumni game, so you should be able to watch it on the network. And then finally, we got another channel, Minds of Creativity. Tony has helped me out in terms of production. I got the production down now, so I don't need him to help me as much. But we got a lot of content on there. I've been putting a lot of content out. The second season of the Any Key video show, where it's the place and platform for independent creatives. We got some choir music on there. We got some R&B music. We got 2 R&B episodes. So the latest one that just came out is Jessica Jolia. She's an amazing R&B singer, and she tells a great story of how she connected with Teddy Riley, the legendary producer, via social media. So that one's out there on the Minds of Creativity channel. There's one out there with Ulysses Owens Jr. live from the Juilliard School, where he joined me live from the Juilliard School. He has an amazing jazz band. So that's on there as well. And then Cedric Solo Harrison Sr., he's got a great R&B single out with Rel, formerly of Rockefeller Records. So we just giving you a bunch of content, whether it's sports, whether it's music and entertainment. You can find all of that stuff on the ASAP network. So just make sure that you're tuned in. Tone, listen, man, I appreciate you jumping in and filling in. We always listen. You're always welcome to come back to Cowboys Nation. If you change your mind, I'll gladly welcome you in. But if you don't, I get it.
Hey, you notice I still know my stuff. I am, it's one of those. It's kind of like a fresh breakup. You don't necessarily hate him right off the bat. You still feel some love. It's one of those. It's like I need a break. Like we gonna take a little break right now. Like you said, Jerry Jones retires. I'll be like, all right, let's try this one more time. Exactly. Listen, let's try this one more time.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I told my guys that I do the show with, I'm an emotionally detached Cowboys fan. I'm just not gonna let in the words of Beyonce, you won't break my soul. Like I'm not giving you that emotional investment anymore. I'm just sitting back and I'm just gonna wait him out until he's gone. I'm not emotionally investing in the Cowboys.
Because I ain't gonna lie, man. I don't know about you, but I'm too young to be having as many heart attacks and like heart issues from them. It's like, oh my God, are they gonna do it? Oh, they did it. Okay. I can take 15 minutes to get myself back.
I'm too old to be dealing with heart issues. I'm trying to stay on this earth as long as I can. So these guys are not going to send me to an early grave. No, sir.
So yeah, that's another part of it. Like, I can't keep doing this. This hurts. I can't keep doing it.
Yeah, for sure. So look, again, man, thanks for being on. And everybody will be back on Thursday. Hopefully the rest of the crew will be back with me. But until then, be positive on purpose. Peace.
Any keys, tempo, time, let's go.
We bring that real talk when it comes to sports, covering the news, giving you the truth. Nothing but that real on hoops in the league. All things NFL, we don't miss a thing. Getting with the coverage, we loving it all day. Picking up the news, tell us wherever the ball lay. With the NFL, NBA, they box so. Sports news in the hands of a man with fair takes. Tell them, coach, statistics and realness that's being spoke. Either hit it for the win or they hitting the goal posts. Either way, we woke up to the news of the day. Any kid he could call it, he like to talk it out with Ray. Fast breaks down the lane, they better move out the way, or they pulling from perimeter. Curry, bury the trade, yeah, they got it. Woo! Duval with the hottest, Chris and Dev like the master, and mix it up like it's Logic being modest. They been looking for that real, trying to get it feel. Sports podcast, they running back on the real, that's a steal, yeah. They never sick, but they ill. Real sports talk going, deliver, signed and sealed. We bring that real talk when it comes to sports, covering the news, giving you the truth. Nothing but that real on hoops in the league. All things NFL, we don't miss a thing.
Is a team of writers, composers, authors, producers, and content creators. Led by myself and Tobias Tanker Jr., we bring you the best the industry has to offer in those categories. Go to kanmcollective.com and let us bring your creative ideas to life. Keeping Alive New Music Collective is for the people, for the culture, and for the music.